The Titans firing Brian Callahan after just 23 games. He finishes his time as Tennessee's coach at 4-19. And I'm not here to defend Callahan. I understand why people wanted him gone. When they hired him back in January 2024, they were projecting him as a leader. They were projecting him as a play caller. And things didn't work out on either count. His leadership style didn't resonate the same way that Mike Vrabel's had over 6 years in Tennessee. The players liked him, but I'm not sure they responded to him the same way they'd responded to Vrabel. And then just from an offensive scheme, play calling standpoint, obviously you're not getting the level of production or progress that you'd hoped you'd get from your rookie quarterback. But I think the issues in Tennessee are much bigger than just the head coach. And the last 34 months can really illustrate that for you. Go back to December of 2022. The Titans abruptly fired general manager Jon Robinson. That was just a few days after A.J. Brown went off on his old team in the Eagles' rout of the Titans. They hire Ran Carthon a month later to replace Jon Robinson. They empower Mike Vrabel. They put Mike Vrabel at the top of the pyramid when it comes to football operations. A year later, Amy Adams Strunk, the team's owner, decides she doesn't like the climate in the building. So now Vrabel's gone. And she's promoting Chad Brinker, who was Ran Carthon's number 2, to president of football operations. So now Carthon is reporting to Brinker. So they let that go for a year. Then after that, they fire Ran Carthon. They bring in Mike Borgonzi. So now they're on their third GM in that stretch. They go into year 2 with Callahan. And of course, now we know that Callahan only lasts 6 games into his second year. To me, so much of this is about ownership, and ownership that's not present in the building on a day-to-day basis, but is making these sweeping decisions over and over and over again. Amy Adams Strunk lives in Texas. She's not around a lot. And what we've seen from her and the perception inside that building, the people who work for her have this perception that when you embarrass her, when she's made to look bad, she acts. And so that was A.J. Brown making the organization look bad in 2022. That was, a year later, the Mike Vrabel making her feel like maybe she was a little shut out, right? And then a year after that, it was sinking to the bottom of the league. And now it's this. That game in Vegas, there was a large family contingent there. The Adams family, a large family contingent there. And obviously she didn't feel great about the way that game went just a week after they get their first win. Again, I don't know. I don't think anybody was under the illusion that if things kept going the way that they were going, that Callahan was going to get a third year. In fact, much of the football brass had already sort of started to view it as a fait accompli that they were going to be running a coaching search after the year. But they were going to give Callahan the year to work this out, and they were going to see where the thing went. And the idea was that there wasn't much benefit they would get from firing him. In fact, there could be a detriment in that they would lose his dad, Bill Callahan, who's one of the most respected line coaches in the sport. And now that's happened. And so now they go to Mike McCoy. And again, I just think you look at where the organization's been over the last 34 months, and I think they've got some bright people there. I think Chad Brinker is a really bright, promising football executive, although we haven't seen it yet, right? From a production standpoint. Mike Borgonzi, one of the most respected evaluators in the business. He's built out a really experienced, accomplished scouting staff there. So I feel like you've got the right people. You got a lot of the right people there. And I would think that they're going to run a really coherent coaching search, but who's to say that they're going to get the time to build this the way that they need to build it? And if you're a coach and you look at this, right, and you look at the organization, what's convincing you that this is a great job now? In fact, if you don't like Cam Ward, I'd almost say stay away, because Cam Ward is getting at least 2 more years there after this one, unless he completely falls on his face. And if you're not wild about Cam Ward, or you don't think Cam Ward is going to make it as a quarterback, and you say, okay, we'll give him the 2 years to see where he goes. Well, who's to say you're going to get more than 2 years based on what's happened in that organization? So to me, I just looking at where they're at, this is about Amy Adams Strunk looking in the mirror and reflecting on this and saying, I need to be around more often, or I need to step away completely. And I need to let my football people do their work. I need to maybe go and give the next head coach a 6-year contract to show him some support and give him some runway. Again, this is an organization that very recently was in a really good spot that had winning seasons in 6 straight years under Jon Robinson. Again, 4 of those years with Mike Vrabel as the head coach, 2 division titles under Mike Vrabel, an AFC title game under Mike Vrabel. They were in a spot where things may not have been great inside the building and needed some working out, but a great owner winds up working to work those things out. And now both those guys are gone, and both those guys' replacements have now been fired, and you are in this state of just constant change. And that's what needs to stop. You need to pick a lane. You gotta pick a plan, and you gotta stick to it, and you gotta ride it out. And again, like, I've got confidence that Brinker and Borgonzi are going to find the right coach. I think it'll probably be an experienced coach. I don't know that they're going to take a shot on projecting somebody the way that the organization projected Callahan. But this has to come from the top. And right now, Adams Strunk's reputation precedes her. And the only way to fix that is by giving people the proper runway to do their jobs at the highest level possible, so you can find a way to build a sustained winner. Lots of issues there in Tennessee that go well beyond Brian Callahan